Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today I want to go over some uranium, kind of a long-term charts to see what they're doing. Sometimes when you're coming up through and you're sticking with the dailies, everyone gets stuck with just their daily mindset. And sometimes what I like to do is I back out, take a big picture view, and look at the big picture, because sometimes we're coming up against big resistance lines. And again, we are coming up to big resistance lines. We're have broken some and they're coming back to back test or retest. And that's what I like to see. I just like to see what that looks like so we know what to expect coming up in the next weeks. So right here, we'll jump in and do some technical analysis. I've got a lot of the companies that have survived the long-term bear market just to show you what their charts look like. They would be the best examples of what they look like from a long-term perspective. So I've got Canalaska here. It's this one in the upper left from 2007, late 2007 to 2021. And there's a couple of things I want to point out here. We've got this downtrend line that I drew in there, and we're right there trying to break through that downtrend line. Now, if you notice, we've got like this big kind of two loops here. This is almost a cup and handle pattern that's developing here. We had a low here. We have a higher low here, a higher low, a higher low. And I think the low will be somewhere in here. And then we'll break, come back, and then take off. But that's kind of what to expect, I would say, out of uranium. I do think an energy crisis is ahead of us. I think it's going to drive prices of all the energy sector higher. So I don't think this will be super long and drawn out. And we'll see what happens. This is obviously just a guess, but we're right there trying to break out of this downtrend line, and that's what's providing that resistance to the move. And the volumes are massive over here. Now, looking at Sky Harbor Resources, another one that we're looking at. Here it is on the right here. We got the downtrend line. We broke out, and we're kind of just pausing here for a second. We got the volume just killing it all on this right-hand side over here. We've got a double bottom in process. We've got basically a reverse kind of shoulder, head, shoulder that had developed. Nice, good moving on up. You could say that this is a cup and handle pattern that just broke to the upside. This is the lowest risk spot to buy a cup and handle breakout. So you could also maybe even argue this is a double bottom, because we did come from here and came up and down like this. But right here, I would say, is a very good spot to look at, because we have broken to the upside and it's still right there. Look at the volume just picking this thing up. And boy, are we making these charts messy. I like it. So this is base load BSENF. It looks like we put it a little far to the left there. Come up, cup, handle forming, and then a break. They'll probably like break, back test, and then go. Something like that. But that one looks good too. Good volume on the right-hand side here. Camco. Broken downtrend line. We're coming on up. This thing didn't even really back test. It's just moving. Looks good. Good volume on the right-hand side over here. Everything looks like it's intact. So Next Gen Energy, looking at the chart here, I'd like to see this break to the upside, and we got this kind of coiling up pattern here. It is coming up. We've got massive volume, absolutely massive. Broke the downtrend line here, coming on up. I like to see it come in here and break to the upside, back test, then gone. Something like that. But usually on ascending wedges, they can break to the downside. So it's good to look at all of the different companies in the sector as well to get a good, clear picture. But again, I suspect that these would all go higher with the price of uranium where it's at. Here's Fission Uranium Corp. Broken downtrend line. We're always looking, all these are breaking their downtrend lines. Moving on up, and we've got this other secondary pattern that's developing. Looks like we're breaking this resistance line right here. Can that hold? Can we break up, or is this going to come back down into the pattern and do some of that stuff? We'll see. We'll see what happens. But it's right at the top of its resistance support line. And again, volume's massive. Absolutely massive. Bannerman, one of my favorite. So this is Bannerman here. We got the downtrend line here. We got another downtrend line. So it broke this first one, broke the second one, broke the third one, and each downtrend line is less steep. This is basically a flat one going across. I suspect this would eventually continue higher. Huge volume all through here. People are accumulating. Looks good. And again, momentum is this way, and now up. That's what I look for in charts. Momentum changes. This one's Encore Energy. These are all weekly candlesticks. We came down, created this pattern, and broke the resistance. Downward motion, sideways motion, upwards motion. So now what we're looking for is we're looking for contraction to see if we are creating an ascending wedge pattern, and we're not. So I don't think this shows any signs of going back down. Huge volume all through here. Everything looks really good. Here's Energy Fuels. Again, we got the downward motion, the sideways accumulation, and now we're starting to move up. So it looks good on this entire side here. Volume, crazy volume. Looking across, you could say that there could be some resistance through here. Draw it across. There's your resistance. See how it's running into resistance in this side over here. So we could come into resistance. What we're creating is kind of another maybe cup and handle pattern. So it's a big old cup and handle pattern here. Man, we're writing all over this. And then a break. So we're waiting for that break. This one's UROY on the weeklies. We do have a bearish engulfing pattern here where it could potentially head a little bit lower, but I don't see that on the other patterns. So without it in the other patterns, I don't know if it's going to be a big pullback or not. Next, we have Denison Mines. We've got the downtrend line here. It broke the downtrend line, and most of these, you can see like the downward move, the sideways move, and then the up move. And we just broke this downtrend line not too long ago. We'll call it late 2020, early 2021. And we're continuing to move on higher. Now, what I like to do is I like to look to the left-hand side. And in Denison Mines, if I can get this thing to line up, we've got a lot of resistance through this entire area in here. And that's what we're trying to break through, is this resistance. And that's why I got stuck here. Because when you have previous buyers and sellers all through here, you have to come back up through it, and it gets a little bit sticky from previous selling pressure as it works its way through up. Looking at blue sky uranium, again, what I look for is this downward motion, the sideways, and then this thing's just starting to come back up. Yes, there's share dilution in all these companies, and I know people get afraid of it, but again, when the money comes piling in here, it's market cap. So it may not reach some of these previous highs up here, but it still will increase its market cap and still get the same multiples as it would if it had never diluted. It would just be at lower stock prices. The beginning would be lower and the end is going to be lower. So that's just something to keep in mind as well. Here's Goviax. Goviax is looking really good. We got the long-term trend line broken in 2020. It's moved on up, pulled on back. We got these highs here. It's kind of breaking through that, and it's just gyrating back and forth above it. I think eventually it'll resolve itself upward. This one's been mainly going sideways, which is just now started an uptrend. Now, Laramide again, downward, sideways, and now we're moving upward. That momentum has changed. It's slowed and has turned upward. Looking at it from kind of this, just drawing in a line, seeing there's some resistance through here. You can tell from previous resistance, we hit our head on it, backed up, broke through it. We may backtest and move on up eventually. So that's what they look like on a big long-term perspective here. They all look, I would say, very good because the momentum was going down. It came to an accumulation phase. And now we're moving up. And if you look at the fundamentals, if you look at the valuations and fundamentals, you look at the market balances, uranium's running in deficits now. Doesn't mean that tomorrow we just go rocketing higher, but we're in uptrends. We can see it on the big picture view on all of the companies in the sector. We know that we have good valuations in terms of gold to uranium price, like grams per whatever, or pounds per ounce. Those are all incredibly cheap in relationship to history. So we have good value, we have market deficits, and the charts all look like they're putting in bottoms. We also have a commodity boom that's here. So everything's in alignment. We have an energy crisis that's right in front of us. And I think these prices in uranium are stupid cheap. They're too cheap for the market conditions that we have today, in my opinion, for what's coming over the next decade. So what I'm doing is I'm still accumulating in this sector. If I see some weakness in something that I like, I'll pick it off and then I'm going to hold on. I'm not going to buy and sell. I'm not trading in and out of these companies. I'm going to hold them for a pretty long period of time. I don't know the exact time frame. It all depends on how the energy crisis evolves over time, how the commodity bull market evolves. There's a lot of factors going on, but more than likely it'll be at least 5 to 10 years at a minimum, and it could be a lot longer. If you guys like this analysis, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and thank you for listening. This is Finding Value.